Because I've been back in the law enforcement days. I went with, at that time, ABC officers. They're now ALE agents. Went with ABC officers to pop a bunch of those things, particularly up in the Sandy Run area of Onslow County. And our guest in the studio, Don Walton. Now, Don Walton's a very legal guy because you're a lawyer.
Yes, I am.
Welcome.
Thanks.
But you're running liquor.
Yes, Rayford, I went to law school in Kentucky, so.
Oh, well, that was just the mainstay.
Yeah, well, while I was there, I lived in Kentucky for several years. I just developed an interest in the distilleries. They have a bunch of distilleries on every corner, and touring the distilleries, and then the University of Kentucky had a bunch of distillery records from distilleries that didn't come out of Prohibition. You know, when they went out, they went out. For some reason, the university had the records.
Did you watch, since you said you went to law school in Kentucky, did you watch the series Justified?
I have, yeah.
And they had the apple pie on there.
I have
Mag's apple pie, and you saw what happened.
Oh yeah, Mag. Well, mine is
yours doesn't have that extra ingredient. Yeah, that's good.
Y'all just have to Google that. We're not going to
That's a great one. That is one of the great episodes.
So,
that's what that whole down in Kentucky. That's what they did, right? And they had their specialty liquors like the apple pie.
Well, but I never intended to make moonshine when I came back. You know, I wanted to make bourbon. But starting out,
there's a difference now.
Yeah.
Bourbon and liquor, or whiskey, whatever.
Yeah, moonshine. Well, the federal government has standards of identity for all alcohol, and in order to call it bourbon, it has to be at least 51% corn. It has to be put in a charred oak barrel for a period of not less than 2 years, and there's some other criteria, but that's what I wanted to make. And my whiskey is actually my base for a bourbon. It's just I needed cash flow, so I put, instead of putting it in a barrel, I put it on charred oak chips that I get from a fellow, and like flash age it. You know, it colors it, it smooths it a bit, and I just now have hooked up with a barrel supplier. It's just barrels are really hard for the small distiller to access.
Now, I read recently or heard on a story, or maybe it was one of those educational shows on TV that I do catch every now and then, along with political shows, that was it 95% of the world's bourbon comes out of Kentucky?
I don't know exact. I mean, I haven't heard.
It was 95% of somebody. It may be the United States, but 95% of the bourbon that's manufactured comes out of Kentucky.
It wouldn't surprise me, and you know, foreign companies have started. I know Japanese companies have actually acquired some of the bourbon, like Maker's Mark and some of the other good distillers there. And but you know, when I came back, that was my goal, to open a distillery to make bourbon. And of course, I went with the whiskey. And I have, you mentioned the Sandy Run area. Of course, I have, my mom's family is from the Sandy Run area, and all of them were moonshiners, so you might have had.
Statute of limitations has expired. You're okay, guys.
And most of them have expired as well.
Okay. So.
But my mom's first cousin actually came over after I'd opened and said, look, I've been making moonshine for 45, 50 years in the woods, so I don't do it anymore, but I used to, and I'm going to pass it on. You have a permit, you can do it legal, let me show you how.
So you learned from the best.
I learned from him. And,
Norwood Rochelle?
Norwood Rochelle.
He passed away recently.
He did. And his picture is on every moonshine jar that comes out of my facility.
He did some floors for me a couple of years ago, and he and I had some chat. I did not know Norwood Rochelle at the time, and he started talking, and then when he mentioned where he was from, I said, "Oh, you know, I was up there. I went up with some ALE guys a few years ago, and we had to blow a still up there." He got quiet. You blew up my still. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. And I tried my best to get him to come on the show.
How about that?
Well, he told me some tales that are verifiable. Let's put it that way.
That was one of the, in addition to him making the moonshine, of course he worked with us for several months before he became ill and passed.
Right.
But just hearing the stories, I mean, he was full of stories.
Yes.
And I recently, I don't know, in your working, did you ever have occasion to work with Willis Johnson or Jim Likens?
Newbern ALE, I think.
Okay.
Weren't they out of Newbern?
I'm not sure. I just a local. His son gave me a large picture of a still they busted here in Onslow County, and I've had that displayed at the distillery. But I have a lot of people, come through the distillery and they have stories. I never knew there was so many moonshiners in the area.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Down around Dixon area, there were a couple of really good stills operating down that way too.
yeah.
And throughout Sandy Run and 9 Mile.
Oh yeah. And
Well, now, who is Kitty Walton?
well, that's my great grandmother, and she's probably spinning in her grave knowing that. I struggled with a name for the alcohol, and I decided, well, I'm just gonna use my grandparents.
Why not?
And so I started with Ian Walton, which is my great grandfather, and then I went to Junior Walton, which is my grandfather, Ian Junior.
Mm-hmm.
And Kitty was Ian's wife. So
Wow.
the little family thing there. So.
Yeah, I like the jars that you got real moonshine jars there.
Yeah, and also for these jars, I have a miniature. It's a little 50 mil, like we used to call it airplane bottle, but it's exactly the same.
I'll stay down and wait for you right now.
The packaging of these products is first rate. It really is.
Thank you.
And
I like
I love the burlap bags.
And I actually
Yeah.
have a linen bag for this, but I couldn't. I came from the house and I didn't access it. So
Yeah, I'm just looking at the label from across the thing here. It's cool.
and like as Dee was saying, the burlap bag, and then the whole look of the product. The only thing I was thinking was, where's the floating stuff?
That's pure stuff.
yeah, that's not necessarily something
Yeah.
you want to have when it's on the shelf.
The
Yeah.
good moonshine did not have floating stuff in it.
Oh, really?
No, it had it when it was being in the process, but when it was running through the coils
They got it.
as vapor and coming out the other end, dripping out the other end, that's one thing. But when it was in the mash pot, ooh.
Yeah,
You don't want to reach down there and take a sample of that.
that's true. And we have to cover, even in our facility, we have flour sacks that we have. We cover all of our barrels with flour sacks so it can breathe. It's porous, but you don't want
It's a
the
filter.
flies and stuff like that because they're very attracted to that. Yellow jackets and house flies and all that.
I'll
stuff.
bet chickens would love the mash.
Well,
Oh,
my
yeah.
hogs love the mash.
Hey, John,
I
how
want
many
some of your
people are
pork.
employed now?
I have 3 employees.
3 employees.
Yeah.
And how many do you distribution is what area are you distributed in?
We're only in North Carolina
Okay.
distillers. I mean, my products are, what we do is we package them up, put them on a pallet, ship them to Raleigh. There's a main warehouse in Raleigh, and the North Carolina is a control state, so only the state can retail the product through the ABC stores, and they order from the warehouse.
Now listen, Don, down in Puerto Rico and some places where they do wrong, they have folks who come in there in their facilities, and they have special people who do taste testing of each batch to make sure it conforms to the quality standards of the manufacturer. So how many people do you have doing that?
About every other person that comes in the facility.
He has a lot of volunteers.
We have and interestingly enough, you have to get a tasting permit
Yeah.
from the state. So we have a tasting permit.
Is that right?
Yeah. So anybody dropping by the facility is welcome to try any of our products or all of our products.
Do we need one to try it this morning?
No, you do not.
You would fall flat this
I
morning.
want to try that apple pie
Oh,
stuff.
Lord.
Well, the apple pie is fairly mild. In fact, it's so mild. I went out on a limb with it. A lot of your apple pie that's in the ABC stores is a higher proof. Some is higher than my whiskey. 80 or 90 proof. But I went with a 30 proof, which is we dilute it with apple juice.
15% alcohol then.
But you
That's
still have a
house
little,
syrup.
you still have a little burn. But all the stuff that you would find in apple pies, there you get the cinnamon.
All right, now you've got this distillery going. I won't call it a still. That's got different connotations, but some people might like it if I did. So you got this legal distillery in Onslow County.
Yes, sir.
Is it the first one legal?
No, actually, a friend of mine across town, Philip O'Hara, he and I were kind of neck to neck in starting up, and he opened his, I think, a few months before I opened mine. I heard that there was an individual in Swansboro somehow, I think he's passed now, but he had gotten a federal permit and had opened a distillery, or I don't think he ever got to where he could sell it because he never obtained his state permit. But he just dabbled in it, I think, from what I understand.
Okay. Now, this Saturday, you got something big going on, right?
I do, Rayford. We have an open house. We have this thing. It's called we call it Distillery Sessions. It's part of our Distillery Sessions. We have live bluegrass music come in.
Cool.
Okay.
And-
Elliot's all over that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have this Saturday Tom White and the Telluride Bluegrass Band. They're from Sneaks Ferry. Real good guys. Play some really
I've
good
heard them.
bluegrass. They've been to my facility 2 times before. We have one about every month, except for the summer months.
That's exactly what Norwood used to do at his place.
did.
Once a month, they had a kind of everybody got together.
He did, and Rayford, that inspired me to do this because
Wow.
Norwood was looking to do my grand opening, and we had talked about him doing some things and pulling some of that crowd there. But when he passed, a lot of those people didn't have a place to go hear bluegrass.
Sure.
So, we started this up, and it's really to walk in and listen to the bluegrass. It's not a thing where we have open drinking, or I can't have it.
Right.
And people bring their kids, and it's just they listen to the music. We have Smithfield's cater food. Plus, we'll have some home cooking for people that don't like that kind of stuff, like collards and chicken and dumplings, or stuff like that.
So how much is this going to cost us to go take a look at this and listen to the music, eat some food?
It is free, Rayford.
Another 4-letter word.
FREE. Yeah.
Wow.
And we can, effective, I want to say October of last year, we can sell 1 bottle of alcohol to a person in conjunction with a tour. But if you go there, by the time you get to where I have the alcohol, you basically had your tour. If you want to see anything additional, I'll take you around, and we're at different stages. We might have some mash working. We might have just run some product. We might be getting ready to bottle some product. But we have like a little gift store, if you will. There's no pressure to buy anything. I mean, I'm just tickled to have people come by.
Okay, now the address that I've got here is 261 Ben Williams Road. Where is that?
Yes, that's out in the southwest area. It's off Highway 53. I've always called Ben Williams Road the gateway to the 9 Mile. It's just it connects Blue Creek Road to the 9 Mile.
Yeah, kind of like the back road.
Yeah.
Kind of like they used to run with the cars that were sitting low in the trunk.
Sure. Now I have a website, which is www.waltonsdistillery.com, and if you go to the website, there's a map on there. Or if you call we're in the phone book. I mean, you call the distillery, they'll give you directions. So it's easy to find.
Okay. Walton Distillery.
Walton's Distillery.
You just Google it, search for it,
Yeah,
and you can
you can
find it.
Google
There's no problem there. Well, that sounds like a fun way to spend a Saturday too.
Yeah, I tell you, Rayford, I mean, look at what Don's
Bluegrass
got going
music?
here. Because, I mean, a lot of areas, and we have some here where we have the wineries and that sort of thing, where people go in and they spend a lot of time, and it's a great tourism attraction.
Sure.
Don's got something going here too.
Don't even have to leave the Onslow County to do it.
That's right, and and I think it's a fantastic attraction for Onslow County.
I think it's wonderful.
The way that it's becoming more popular, you hear more and more about it. So we'll see where he goes with it.
How much do you make how much liquor can you make in about a year, for instance? If you look at it, take
I
a
haven't
lot
really
of
done the figures on that. I know we can make a couple 100 gallons of moonshine a week, and probably about 100 gallons of whiskey a week if we crunch with what I have now. And I have another whiskey moonshine still. I don't even have hooked up yet. It's a 200 gallon, probably a 4-barrel rig. I don't have hooked up.
Okay, so let's just say from beginning to end, you start this stuff cooking.
Yeah.
From beginning to end, can you stick it in a bottle? How long?
With the moonshine, I would say you're looking at it depends on the weather. We're not climate controlled in the back, so if it's during the summer, it's going to work faster than during the winter. I would say a week or so with the mash being ready, and then we can run it, and the moonshine goes in the jar can go in the jar the same day. With the whiskey, it's a little more involved. We distill our whiskey 5 times, so I have a still that will distill it 4 times. It's a column still, and once it comes out, we run it again through our pot still, which we use for moonshine. So it takes a little longer, and then it goes on chips, as I said earlier, for a period of 2 months. So it takes a little longer to produce and go in the bottle. Yeah. And of course, we're getting ready. My first order of barrels should be in within the month, and we'll start putting away a barrel, probably a barrel or so, a couple barrels a week.
Do those barrels, do they wear out? I see barrels for sale from time to time.
It's because with bourbon, the federal government doesn't, every time the alcohol goes in, it has to be a new charred barrel. You cannot reuse a barrel to make bourbon. A lot of people use the barrels for, I think scotch, rum. I don't know if these are for rum or not, but wine. People buy them for decoration. That's why you see so many barrels out for sales.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Distillers have a lot of.
So you sell yours too, right?
Well, it'll be a couple of years or so.
Yeah. I want to get in line to get a couple of them.
Okay.
In the meanwhile, we'll give you one of these bags that you.
There you go. I'll hang the bag out.
Well, I'm gonna leave this stuff here.
Don, I appreciate you coming in. Okay, that open house is Saturday, beginning at noon. I think I've got it written down
Yeah,
here.
noon to 5 o'clock.
And that's on Ben Williams Road. It's in the Southwest Creek area.
Yes.
Just look up for Walton's Distillery.
Yes, and like I said, our products are available
Local ABC store?
at your throughout North Carolina. And if you have a listener that's in an area and they go to their ABC store and they don't have it, they need to ask them to get it. And if they have problems getting it, to let us know.
Yeah, just call Don. He'll get it for you.
Sure.
Yeah, I would be the
Something
last
like
person to
strong
encourage somebody to imbibe. However,
But
there are going to be people out there that are going to be
If you're gonna do
celebrating
it-
this election.
if you're going to do it,
Or they're going to be mourning this election, one way or the other. And if they're going to do it anyway, and I'm not saying that they should,
well, you can go to the,
But if they
the
are gonna
apple
do it
pie
anyway.
stuff. It's only
Huh?
it's 15% alcohol. The apple pie stuff,
the apple pie is 30, that's right.
30 proof, 15%.
Yeah, but
That's
it has
cough-
a little bit,
That's
it goes
cough
down.
syrup. It's cough syrup.
But it goes down so smooth, I suspect, I haven't had it, but.
Well, we
my
should see.
suspicion is-
We should see because maybe it's really good on oatmeal.
We don't want to do that on here.
Okay.
It's really good.
So,
It's really good on vanilla ice cream.
But in any
Ice
case, what I'm
cream,
saying,
yeah.
Okay, apple
good
pie
on
vanilla
ice
ice cream.
Yeah, it's got a reverse type.
Gotcha.
I ain't saying that.
Don, thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
We do appreciate your time this morning. Let's take a break. You're live on Local Morning Show on Thunder Country 96.3, and we'll be right back.